We are 2 days away from the big game, and even though we don't have the most likable teams in it, I'm still excited. On one hand, you have a guy you cannot count on in these big moments, and not only that, they have one of the best defenses in the NFL. On the other hand, we have one of the best offensive gurus in the NFL in Kyle Shanahan, a very stacked offense, a very solid defense, and while all being led by quarterback Mr. Irrelevant Brock Purdy. Can Mahomes and the Chiefs solidify themselves as a dynasty and become the new Patriots, or can the 49ers finally get ring number 6 and tie the record for the most Super Bowls by a franchise? Ladies and gents, this is the real Super Bowl 58 predictions. By the way, if you watch my other videos, you might notice I sound different. That's because they put things in my teeth that make me sound different, right where the tongue comes out. So it's going to be hard to talk. But first, let's see how the two teams got here. Everyone knows about the Kansas City Chiefs at this point. They were just coming off a Super Bowl win from the previous year, and it looked like they were going to do it again. However, they got off to a slow start. Now, I say they started off slow. They actually started off 7-2. However, they got off to a really bad cold streak at the end of the year where they just didn't play good. Their offense was bad, and at one point they were sitting at 9-6. However, they won against the Bengals, which clinched them a playoff spot, and then they won the next week against the Chargers. A big part of the struggle was the collapse of the offense, as Mahomes easily had his worst season, throwing 14 picks, under 30 touchdowns, and barely over 4,000 yards, and Kelsey was not himself. Granted, he missed a few games, but under 1,000 yards is shocking from him. Now, usually when your two stars decline heavily in one season, it usually ends up very bad, and it looked like that for a while, but throughout the season, some guys stepped out big for this team. Second-year running back from Rutgers, Isaiah Pacheco, was the star of the offense as he rushed for 935 yards and 7 touchdowns, and like I said, he was the star of the O. On the defensive side, Trent McDuffie, cornerback, second-year guy from Washington, exploded onto the scene, and he became an all-pro cornerback and one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL. And even though they've been one of the best teams in football the last few years, they were heavily doubted against going into the playoffs, and rightfully so. They were one of the coldest teams entering the playoffs, and most people had them going to the divisional round at max. But in the wildcard round, they took care of the Dolphins very easily, 26-7, but everyone saw this coming because, well, the Dolphins were playing in very, very cold weather, freezing temperature, and basically, when the Dolphins ever play in cold weather, it's a guaranteed victory for the home team. Most people thought they were going to lose in the Bills in the divisional round, like I said earlier. However, the Bills built in the most possible way, and they lost 27-24, and the Chiefs were moving on to the AFC Championship. And by the way, I can't find actual images from the games. This one's from 2021. That Dolphins one was from Germany. So, yeah, I don't know why. I actually found an image this time, but anyway, the Chiefs are now playing the Ravens in the AFC Championship game, and the weight of the NFL's world was on Lamar Jackson's shoulders, and he completely crumbled under that weight, and the Chiefs won 17-10, and they're moving on to the Super Bowl. We now have the NFC representative, the 49ers. The 49ers were good all season long, and even though they hit a 3-game losing streak early in the year, they finished out strong, finishing 12-5 and earning the number 1 seed in the NFC. Quarterback in 2022, Mr. Irrelevant Brock Purdy, did wonders this year as he threw over 30 touchdowns and over 4,000 yards, and he's going to finish in the top 5 in MVP voting, and, well, he's one of the reasons why the 49ers were so good this year. The offense in general was crazy this year. Tight end George Kittle went for over 1,000 yards as he is still year in and year out one of the best tight ends in the NFL. And then wide receiver Brandon Ayuk exploded onto the scene, going for over 1,000 yards and 7 touchdowns. And you can't forget about wide receiver Deebo Samuel and all-pro tackle Trent Williams. But the star of not just his offense, not just his team, but maybe in the NFL's Christian McCaffrey, as he rushed for over 1,400 yards, rushed for 14 touchdowns, and on top of that, 500 receiving yards and 7 touchdowns. I think he should win MVP. I'm recording it before the MVP's been announced. I think they're going to give it to Lamar, but CMC deserves it. Entering the playoffs, they were big Super Bowl favorites. Most people had them going to the Super Bowl, including me, and a lot of people had them winning it all, including me. So It's no shock that they're here right now, but how did they get here? They didn't play in the wild card since they had a first round bye, but in the divisional round they played the Packers, and the Packers gave them a scare, but the 49ers pulled away after Jordan Love threw a hideous interception to Dre Greenlaw at the end of the game, and they survived, and they moved on. And in the NFC Championship, the Lions were up 24-7 at halftime, and they should have won. I'm still sad they didn't win, spoiler alert, and the 49ers would come back in the second half, and they'd win 34-31, and they move on to the Super Bowl. So now it's time. We've made it here. Who do I have winning? Now, these teams played each other 4 years ago in Super Bowl 54. The Chiefs won 31-20, and it was kind of nice at the time seeing Andy Reid win his first ring, and the Chiefs win their first Super Bowl in 50 years. But now we don't want the Chiefs to win at all. At least I don't, and a lot of other people don't. Now in that game, the Chiefs often scored over 30 points, and they really carried them. But in this game, they're not scoring over 30, and it's going to come down to the other side of the ball. I think if the 49ers score over 27 points, they're going to win. And that's pretty much the reason why I have the 49ers winning this game. Final score 28-24. I have the MVP of this game being Christian McCaffrey, and that's it. Goodbye.